give it a few minutes to see that everybody's here. I want to make sure everybody's coming for this one. There's a lot to talk about. A lot to talk about. I'm going to make sure I get the coffee ready while I'm preparing and waiting. All right. Hey guys, let me see who's here. I know it's not my usual time to do a live, but I think it's important for me to keep things up to date somehow. And a lot of questions have come my way about where did Daniel go that particular night. Hey guys, and 2 months ago, remember, I made a video about this already, talking about leakage. Leakage when it comes to this. The statement from, I talked about it already 2 months ago, and I need to say something first. I consider the possibility that Daniel went back and forth because he was looking for things he may have dropped that night, including the blanket that I am not convinced was planted. As a matter of fact, I have not seen any. I know that now most of you will say, what the hell is he talking about? That blanket was planted. I'm not so sure, guys. I'm not so sure. Because when Daniel was talking about, I never seen the blanket in the tree, by the way. Well, why would you see it? Would it have been that obvious? Or were you actually looking for it that night? Is it possible that you made all of these trips back and forth because of the possibility that you have dropped something? Hey guys. Wait, I gotta fire up the other computer and see to see the chat a little bit easier and better. But you know what? Let me say it like this to make it very clear. The claim that let me see, what did RCMP say? Let me look at this crap, because this blows my mind away. It shouldn't, but every time, well, okay, get used to it, guys. There's no evidence that there was any foul play involved, and there's also no evidence suggesting evidence of anything that would suggest that there was foul play, right? No evidence at all. And I don't know if I even want to look at this, but I'm going to play you a video from Paul Palango, where he talks about the RCMP. And I don't want to get too deep into this, but I think it's very important to put things into perspective. So listen to me listen to this before I go any further. This is the person who's very critical of the RCMP, Paul Palango. The other dude's an idiot, but let's listen to him.
That was more baseball is always good, so it'd be interesting to see. But yeah, it doesn't look good for anybody going against the Dodgers. Okay, all right, we're going to get into some political stuff but in a minute. But first, Paul, an update this week on the Jack and Lilly Sullivan disappearance here in Nova Scotia. 2 children went missing May 2nd, reported missing, sorry. Might be a relevant distinction now. Reported missing May 2nd. And hadn't heard much of anything, wasn't getting a lot from the police, from the, information to the public. This week, thanks to the media, CBC and others fought to have, so when the police are looking for search warrants, they submit documents to the court saying, here's everything we know about the situation. Give us a search warrant on phones, on locations, properties, whatever. But often, information in those will be redacted, blacked out so that the public can't see it. Media organizations often, or defendants, will apply to have those redactions removed so that people can see. This week, there were redactions removed thanks to the media intervention. And we learned that 2 witnesses in the neighborhood heard vehicles late at night in the area driving around the home where the 2 children were missing. 2 independent witnesses, well, they spoke to each other afterwards, but they spoke to the police, both with very similar recollections of the night before. And we're hearing this now, June, July, 5 months later. Paul, what do you think?
Well, the RCMP and the way it investigates is problematic. I mean, they look for reasons not to investigate, to make things go away. That's historically accurate.
I'm not surprised by that statement. And I would say, from what I have seen, the passive attitude and kind of wanting things to go away, that rings a couple of bells, right? I mean, doesn't it?
They're not aggressive. I got a note from a Mountie who we're going to be talking to in the near future, I hope, because his troubles with the Mounties is sort of come back into the forefront. His name is Dave Moore. But Dave Moore, when he was with the Mounties, was one of the people who helped set up the Amber Alert system in Nova Scotia. And what has happened, I got a note from Dave the other day talking about Jack and Lilly Sullivan going missing. And he said this was a perfect example where an Amber Alert should have been put out immediately. That's how the system was designed.
Unless you understand statement analysis and how it works. Yeah.
But, the Dudley Do-Right in charge that day is allowed in the RCMP to make a decision not to put out an Amber Alert, which sort of defies logic in this situation. And then before you know it, the case, everything has gone cold because no one was paying attention when they should have been paying attention.
So I have my reasons not to issue an Amber Alert. But yes, I would be interested also in knowing the specific reasons why the RCMP didn't.
And following the rules and the systems that were already in place. I mean, he's literally pulling his hair out saying, this is insane. They're not doing a good job, and they failed in this case, and now look what's happened.
Well, look, everybody's perception, watching the news, watching the interviews with the police, seeing the moves that they were making, like last couple of weeks, bringing in the cadaver dogs. Well, okay, everything must be pointing to those.
They didn't check the ATV, and they didn't check Earl's property.
Kids being in the area, lost in the woods somewhere. It's thick foliage and all that stuff. Okay, it's difficult. Done a lot of searches. Okay, sure. But this new information points to, well, okay, maybe there was a vehicle that abducted, or there was something nefarious going on. We also find out that the mother of the 2 children says she went to sleep at 9:00. The stepdad stayed up all night, was supposed to be cleaning. She wakes up in the morning, the house isn't clean, and she doesn't know what he was doing. And now we find out from him, the CBC called this Daniel Martel to interview him, and he says, the police didn't tell me that they interviewed two people who said there were noises around the area. Okay, well, if they're not telling him that tells me, Paul, that he's a suspect.
Well, he knew it from the very beginning. That's why he felt the need to talk about the neighbors. That's why he felt the need to try to discredit the neighbors and talk about criminal activities that happened 5 years ago because, well, he preemptively wanted to discredit these people. That was his way of doing it.
Yeah, for sure.
But I want to go back into this now really, really quick. And I already talked about this 2 months ago when it came out. When it came out on Sunny's channel, what Daniel said. And I will repeat what I said back then, that this is a mix of what happened that night on Thursday and a few things that he wanted us to believe happened on Friday morning. I believe he dropped some things. He went to the cabins, absolutely, which is why Belinda saw a brand new lock on one of these cabins. That's what I said from the very, very beginning. And of course, the account from Wong and Smith, it matches up with it. Because of course, these things happened on Thursday night. Daniel was leaking what happened on Thursday night, which way he went. The children wound up somehow, I believe, at the cabins. I believe he went back to pick up some clothing items, like the backpack and maybe something. I believe he went back and forth many times. Now, I said initially that the main reason would have been that they had to remove a lot of stuff in the shed, remember? But that could have been just one trip to empty that out. The other could have been that he forgot something that he should remove alongside the children. And that I believe things were dropped. Again, I am not convinced the blanket. I don't see a reason to believe that the blanket was planted. I do not. Not by him, not by Malaya or her family. I do believe there is a very good chance that one of the reasons that he went down there again that night is because maybe something was dropped. That's a possibility. Sure, you can say the blanket, maybe you get Wahoo. I don't know. But you see, I need to have the linguistic commitment to it. I never seen the blanket in the tree, by the way. My question is, would he be surprised to miss something? Or was he actively looking for it? Because that is something that I consider, that he was actively looking for the blanket or other things that he may have missed. And I believe that he wound up in that area on Friday morning because it was too dark for him to see anything. I am not sure what happened with the blanket. I'm not sure at all. But the possibility that he was either looking for the blanket or some other things and kept returning there. And that he is surprised to hear about the blanket because why didn't I see that? I was looking for it. I was looking for things I may have dropped there. So of course, this is absolutely aligning with what Smith and Wong said. There's no doubt. As I've stated 2 months ago, this came from experiential memory from that night. that particular night, the Thursday night. So that's what I said from the very beginning. It happened on Thursday night, and I have absolutely no doubt. But the question is what exactly happened on Thursday night. So we need to have a little bit more from Wong. We need to have a little bit more information. In which direction did he hear the car disappear? And I have a problem with Smith and Wong talking to each other about it, because there's always a possibility that maybe Smith heard something different from the distance or from a different location, and maybe they adjusted the statement towards each other. I have a huge problem with that. Or they started to doubt what they heard, because one person may have heard it in a different way. One person may have thought, okay, I think the car went into this direction. And the other person thinks, no, it was a different direction the car went into. And they sort of leave it out then, because they don't want to be wrong. They don't want to be wrong. Anyways, I think that, these things I pay very close attention to these particular parts. And I don't take sides. I mean, I guess everybody can tell in which direction this is headed with me, absolutely. But I'm very much into, I stop myself immediately when I realize something, now it stops making sense. Now it almost becomes hearsay. I believe both of them. Well, it depends on where Smith exactly was located, but why is there so little interest in figuring out exactly where Smith was? So if he was at the campground, then the statement from the media would be wrong about the direction. So there's a lot that we do not know. But the bottom line is that now they are coming around and they are trying to dismiss everything that these witnesses are saying. And yeah, should I be surprised? Absolutely not, because this aligns really with what they've been saying, that everything is, no, nothing's criminal. This happens all the time. This is just one of those things, just one of those things. Just don't think too much. We say don't pay attention to it, then don't pay attention to it. They aren't able to substantiate reports. Well, where were the cameras? And we're talking about a very short distance here from Lansdowne to the cabins. I don't believe there are cameras on that way. I don't believe so. I mean, there's a house right there, right? On Lansdowne and Gaylock. Maybe they have cameras, but maybe they don't. I don't think that Daniel's family has any cameras anywhere. Maybe in that area, they just don't give a crap. Maybe they don't worry about it. Does anybody have cameras other than that lady who has all these wildlife cameras going? I don't know. I don't have any idea. But the fact of the matter is that we need to know some information here, and we don't have any. Nothing is being provided to us. So I gotta be very, very careful not to draw conclusions based on assumptions. I can't assume when I leave my house and I walk 50 yards, oh my God, I am probably on 200 cameras. But not there. That's not New York where they live. That's Lansdowne Station, baby. And there are so many side streets, so many side roads. I believe Daniel had a very chaotic situation going that made him revisit places that he had missed or where he may have dropped something. I believe there was complete chaos. He talks about finishing the trip by going the trail beside the house the night RV facing into the driveway. I meet Mom at the top of the hill when driving back. Did you meet Mom on top of the hill on Thursday night when she was getting ready to rake? Was everybody outside when you returned? When Jack and Lily were removed? That was teamwork, people. That was pure teamwork. They knew what their roles were going to be, and they had their scripts ready and everything ready. And at that time, they had no idea Malaya was going to leave. I believe that they had a lot of discussions saying, hey, we're going to stick together. We're gonna cover this up. Nothing's going to be, they're not going to be able to prove anything. I believe it was Malaya's, Daniel's, and Janie's script. These three people, I believe, scripted it together. Later on, Durwood came along. Then it was a script between Daniel, Durwood, and Janie. But the only problem was his went against Malaya's part. And later on, Janie went against Durwood's part. Janie was not satisfied with the script. I think she was simply not satisfied following anybody else's lead. And she went off onto her own, contradicting the original scripts. And of course, now that we know that Malaya tried to call Mommy at 8:28 a.m. on Friday, yeah, that really blows everything wide open. And again, there's a reason they didn't want to, that they kept this redacted in the beginning. They didn't want to cause too much of a ruckus. And the important thing is what made it into the media, what the majority of the people hear about. And what they hear about is not the unredacted versions. I have not seen that make it into the news. That's being kept pretty quiet, right? I mean, people like us, we know about that. But the majority of people, they don't know about that. And I don't think they're very interested in it either. They just kind of go along with whatever storyline is being presented. But I do believe that the neighbors heard the cars. I'm just worried about them not giving individual statements before talking with each other. Because it can happen that when people talk to each other before giving individual statements, they may self-censor and think, maybe I heard it wrong. So that's what I believe could be the reason that we don't know, that it's not said exactly in which direction did Wong hear the vehicle go. Did he hear it go towards Earl's house when he said, I heard it disappear in the distance? Or did he hear it go back into Daniel's direction? But the surprise that Daniel didn't see the blanket, well, where was the blanket on Thursday night, I'm sorry. That's my question. Where was the blanket Thursday night? Did you return and realize the blanket was not there? And you don't know where you lost it? And you were looking for it, but you couldn't see it? I don't know. But I do believe that there is a reason he went back and forth, because something went wrong. I believe he dropped something or he forgot something. And he said, remember, I went through the cabins to the children. So I believe, actually, the children were at the cabin at one point before being transported away on that Thursday night. So now we have this article, of course, and I don't know if I should give it a time of day I don't know. Is there anything interesting that I missed? I was going to read it with you guys. I didn't read it before. I really don't know what to think. I also am going to go through the documents a little bit more. Major crime investigators have led an intensive search, blah, blah, blah. 2 witnesses who live near the home. They heard a car on Gaylord Road, blah, 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 just hours before, and so on. According to newly selected details, one neighbor, Brad Wong, said he could see vehicle lights over the treetops. Yep, he saw from his home up the hill, and described a loud, now he describes a loud vehicle. Keep that in mind also. And I don't know if Malaya's vehicle was loud or Janie's vehicle was loud, right? But I do believe there's a connection to the disappearance of Jack and Lilly for sure. And if they have cameras everywhere, why didn't you identify it? You see, here's a problem, people. Unless Jack and Lilly are hidden in the basement of some neighbor's house, there is no way other than that they would have been transported away by a vehicle. Be it a car, be it an SUV, be it an ATV. There is no other way. Either the children are somewhere in a house that hadn't been searched, hidden, or it was a vehicle. So why can you not find that vehicle? You see, you according to you make us believe that you have enough cameras to rule out what Justin Smith and Brad Wong have said. But you don't have enough cameras to let us know which vehicle may have been used to transport Jack and Lilly away. And if you don't think along those lines, well, I expect you to go with the dogs through every single house. Yeah, I know you cannot get the search warrants, but that's the only other option that I see. And Justin Smith, he said he heard a car turn around by the railroad tracks near the spot where police found Lily's pink blanket and imprints. Well, that's not by Gaylord. That's a kilometer west of that on Lansdowne. That's not that near. So they're mixing these locations. Because what I looked at before, And the imprint of the child-sized boot prints, that was 500 meters away from that. That's like 1.5 kilometers away from. You see, let me go back to Google Earth. Let me go back there. I mean, we need to make sure that we don't get anything wrong, guys. That we make no mistakes, because then it's going to be very easy to tread forward. You see, Wong is here. Wong saw the lights. Elevated position, I believe. Justin Smith said turn here. But the blanket was here. Right here. Far away, very far away. I showed you my last video. I went with Google Earth, kind of simulating how it would be if you drive very slowly. That's quite a ways away. So you mean Wong wouldn't be able to hear if it was here or over there? Or is the newspaper just writing out of there? You know what I mean? Because the boot print would have been here, 500 meters further, 500 yards around. Like a third of a mile. There's a big difference between that. But remember, Smith said according to the newspaper, he heard the car go towards Lerk, which is there, into the same direction as Jack and Lily's house. So he talked only about the direction. So he must have been down here somewhere for this to be in the same direction like Lerk up there. And he didn't say the car turned on Lerk. He said towards Lerk. And there are many, many side streets and many ways to access the pipeline. And from there to go up north, somewhere towards Westville, New Glasgow. Look at all these little paths. Look at all of them. Yeah, I guess they don't have cameras there. Very few cameras, maybe. But unless they are right there, people, unless they are right there, hidden somewhere, very close to home, come on. Which vehicle transported them away? They cannot rule out what Justin and Brad were saying, not based on the fact that this was not seen. Investigators conducted a thorough review of surveillance footage from the Gaylord Road area during the early hours of May 2nd and found no evidence of any vehicle activity at the time. Gaylord Road is a very, very long road, people. We're talking a small strip between Lansdowne, Earl's house. Let's go back here. Earl's house at the pipeline and the cabins. Are there cameras here? If not, then shut the hell up. That is my suggestion. Unless you can show me that there are cameras there in that small area. And later on, well, there are some houses on Madison, right? But again, why were things found by the pipeline? There are ways to go. And I'm sure that Daniel knows where to go. There is so much that doesn't make any sense, guys. And I mean absolutely zero sense. I can go back into talking more about the RCMP. And the reason I'm doing it is not because I want to bash the RCMP, but I want to put this into perspective. Because I want you to know what you're going to be up against if you are serious about finding out what happened to Jack and Lilly. Don't expect official support. And don't expect the masses to support what you say either. Expect a lot of opposition because these kinds of articles are what the public bases their facts on. The vast majority of people. And yeah, I did so as a teenager too, when the JonBenet Ramsey case happened. And I thought, oh, well, maybe and it was all about SA, right? Because that's what sold at the time. That's what people were tuning into when these kinds of, no, that's not, it was nothing about that. We couldn't see the forest before because of the trees. We want to know home security cameras in the community. In the community, didn't confirm the movements of a car on the road. Where were the cameras, people? Nothing specific. They have it easy, by the way. They have it very, very easy covering things up. They have it so easy working with the media, deciding what gets redacted, deciding what gets published. And the media doesn't have to get it 100% correct. And it's kind of like, what was the game that we played as kids, where you whisper things into one ear and it goes through 10 ears and 10 mouths and it comes out completely different. By the time it reaches the end user, Witnesses reported hearing a vehicle but did not visually confirm one. What witnesses? You mean just Wong and Smith or others? Because Wong said he saw the lights. What am I not getting here? Investigators conducted a thorough review of surveillance from the gate. Okay. Children's stepfather. Okay, Daniel did not respond to a request. Malaya slept through the night. Sure. Have extensively searched those areas with cadaver dogs, except the important spots. I mentioned only 4 important spots, and 2 of them they didn't hit. Let me hear a little bit more what this guy is saying about the RCMP, because that's, I want you guys to get, man, I don't want to disillusion any of you people.
She doesn't.
You know what I mean? But this is just, for me, this is common knowledge, and this is going on all over the world. And the more intensely you look into any types of cases, the more you're going to realize that the same pattern is going on all over the world.
Know what he was doing. And now we find out from him, the CBC called this Daniel Martel to interview him. And he says, the police didn't tell me that they interviewed 2 people who said there were noises around the area.
This guy's a dumbass, by the way. Him. Good, he's not even in my picture.
Okay, well, if they're not telling him that, that tells me, Paul, that he's a suspect.
Yeah, for sure.
He knew something. And he didn't pay attention because the rock party and everything else. Well, that's what Wong assumed. Wong had no idea there were going to be 2 children reported missing in the morning when he heard what he heard. He assumed, Daniel's being Daniel. You know what I mean? He figured that's what the reason must be.
But somebody, the suspects obviously were the people closest to that house.
Yeah.
In this situation. But let me get back to what
He doesn't know that much about the case, but yeah, I mean, it's so obvious.
Dave Moore said. I mean, I'd like to get him on camera in the next little while, but here's what he said, and I think this applies. He was a smart cop who got sort of railroaded out of the RCMP, and we're going to come back to this in a bit because he was involved in the Glen Assoon case with the missing documents and all kinds of malfeasance by the RCMP and Halifax police. Dave says, the Amber Alert is designed to take the discretion away from egos and know-it-all police officers. The formula is simple. Send out the Amber Alert for the missing person as soon as it was reported to police. Why? Because time is of the essence, and the quicker people are alerted to, the higher likelihood of somebody seeing and reporting them. The alert
unless you have such strong suspicions that the people inside of the house have done something. And you have a very strong feeling or suspicion that the children are no longer alive, which is, as Daniel has told us later, exactly what the RCMP said to him. We are not giving you an Amber Alert, dude. We know you killed them. I mean, that's basically what Daniel was saying in several different interviews. But of course, I believe everything is experiential memory, guys. All the things that Daniel has said again and again. Doesn't matter what statements. The one to Sonny was a very long one. And there's a lot in it. A lot is in it. the cabins, highly sensitive point, the new lock, the statement, I went through the cabins to the kids, to the children. From the cabins, Malaya was standing in the same position holding Meadow. Okay, maybe at the time, yeah, Janie and Malaya were outside. Who knows where exactly they were? But again, Janie was raking that night, in the middle of the night, pitch black, pitch dark outside. Nobody was sleeping that night. Maybe Malaya was sleeping a little bit. Maybe Daniel dozed off for a few minutes. And he said, I never seen a blanket. Always never. Going out to the railway tracks on that road, turning and going back down, doing Lansdowne Station Road, what does it mean, doing Lansdowne Station Road? Doing. Going back, doing Lansdowne Station Road. Now that would be by Wong's house, right? If he says Lansdowne Station Road. And going up the trail beside the house. Not the main street. So there is a leakage here, but it's not exactly necessarily accurate. There are variations kicking in. But there are different types of memories already. There was a driving a vehicle, then there was the ATV part, in my opinion. Never forget the statements from Janie and from Daniel about the ATV. That is huge. Trying to convince us that Daniel never drove it. They put so much energy into convincing us. Too much energy. Even when he says Friday morning, the doubling down on Friday already is a flag. Anything that doesn't flow. I meet Mom on the top of the hill when driving back. The road can only be accessed further by ATV or four-wheeler truck. There we go. He mixes different experiences in there, in my opinion. I believe he gotten the ATV from Earl's house. There's a reason that Earl Martell is so defensive with his posts, and that they feel so threatened by these neighbors. Daniel introduced these neighbors, that one neighbor, Bradley Wong, as we know now, it's Bradley Wong, introduced him so early to us. We knew that he had problems with the police before. We knew all of these things, even before we knew what exactly he heard. And I still don't know. When was Wong interviewed, by the way, guys? Let me see this. Because they didn't get to Justin Smith until they got to Justin Smith when? That was quite a bit later, right? On the 17th. So 2 weeks after he called them initially, they finally gotten to him. He called them on the 2nd. Let me see the statement here. Let me see exactly what Smith and Wong, when exactly they were interviewed. They were, what days that was. Those were. I know I got it right here. By the way, I got all the documents now. I may go through them a little bit here and there, but I'm not really. Give me a second. Where are we at? Huh. Okay, let's go here. I'll let you know if I see some interesting. No. No. It's like 40 pages, right? Yeah, this is not interesting yet. I guess there are some parts that maybe are interesting that have been redacted the last time, but they were at Jack and Lily's residence on May 2nd around 4 p.m. when Hayden, and Hayden's girlfriend came out of the woods to say they found a pink blanket. So at 4 p.m., they came out of the woods. So they found a blanket before that, maybe 3:30, maybe 3, meaning before the school bus went there. The school bus went there around 4. So they would have gotten that blanket before the school bus, right? Again, Daniel wants to use that to tell us, well, the school bus camera would have caught the blanket, but not if they returned at 4 p.m. with the blanket or came out of the woods to say they found a pink blanket in a tree. They showed a picture. Okay, they didn't touch it, right? Well, it says around 4 p.m., people. Make it make sense. The ponds were checked. Okay, good. Okay, May 17 to May 19, the other search, a new search was conducted. We got that. And here's Justin Smith, okay? On good terms with Mackenzie's, no reason to railroad them, no reason, the only thing Daniel said about him is he lives 2 kilometers away, but where was he that night? You see, that's what's interesting. That's the only thing that Daniel could say about him. He lives too far away to know anything. So he didn't go at him the way that they went at Wong. Just said, he lives 2 kilometers away. He's too far. He wouldn't know anything. The vehicle was quiet for about 2 minutes, then drove towards Lairg Road. It says towards Lairg Road. And unlike the newspaper article, it doesn't say the same direction as to where Jack and Lily were living. He later spoke again. He spoke with Brad Wong, who informed him Daniel's vehicle came and went 5 or 6 times at night. Was it a loud vehicle? Well, let's see what Wong said one more time. Wong said the car Smith heard was Daniel. Smith said he heard a car on Highway 289 turn around by the railroad tracks near the area of Gaylord Road and Lansdowne Station Road. Do I need to show it again on the map? I think I did that many times. if he was 2 kilometers away, I agree, he wouldn't know exactly where a car was turned 2 kilometers away. You would hear the car 2 kilometers away, but not be so sure about the location. So where was he? He later spoke with him. Okay. Wong, who informed him. Smith helped with the search also. Yep. We heard about him before. Justin Smith, absolutely. This aligns very much with Daniel's statements, guys. Very much. Let's see Wong. Brad Wong said he did not wish to provide a statement, but was willing to have a conversation with police. But let's go back here. Let's go back to, he says it. Where was I? Give me a second, I get it back. Give me a second. Jeez. What happened? Wong did not want to give a statement. Wong does not like the police, maybe. He said, I have a conversation with you guys. He said now listen to this. He said in the early hours of May 2nd, he heard a loud vehicle coming and going in the area of 1407 Gaylord Road. That's the location of Jack and Lily's. He said his residence is at the elevator. Okay, we know that already, that part. He said the vehicle left 3 or 4 times after midnight and into the early hours of the morning. He said the vehicle would drive off in the distance, and we don't know which distance, and he could hear it stop and then return. He said it remained in earshot the entire time. So that would maybe be he went to Earl's house and from there to the cabins. That's what I'm thinking. That's why he mentions the area so many times, doing Lansdowne. But again, the ATV, I believe the ATV, that's where it's at, people. Buses have surveillance. Oh, that's about the other guy, right? Brian Ward, the school bus driver. Okay, let me see if I missed some else. I'm sure I did. Malaya willingly agreed to undergo a polygraph examination. But again, the privileged information, people. The privileged information. Daniel, why is this all being redacted? Is there anything in there that would contradict the narrative that, hey, we don't have a criminal investigation here, right? Believe me, if they had the ability to disprove what Wong and Smith are saying, they would have the ability to prove where Jack and Lily have been taken. Unless you want to tell me exactly where anybody has home security cameras. Let me see if I should do this backwards. Okay, this is the beginning. Okay, let's see. I'm scanning through this very quick to see if there's anything that stands out to me. Delayed disclosure. Well, it's not really delayed disclosure. Why? Why the delay, dudes? It's been 5 months. What are we waiting for? And how long does it take to test the blanket? I think this dude, and I'll play him a little bit more in a minute. I believe he's onto something with the RCMP. Paul Palango. I think he got it right. I want to make sure I go in the right order. You see, I hate reading things when there is too much unimportant stuff. And it's really, really horrible when you have so many unimportant pieces of information and then what's important has been redacted. It's hard to get used to, for me. Well, this is Janie originally. And always dozing off. Yeah, if you rake all freaking night, you're tired in the morning. I agree with you. Never forget what she said. She was raking that night, in the middle of the night. Whenever something strange happens, look for other strange occurrences. Out of the norm, out of pattern. Focus on that. Don't let it be a coincidence. If it doesn't mean anything, that will come out. But when there are too many strange synchronicities, or whatever you may want to call it, keep the flags up, people. Even if we cannot identify right now what it all means. Just notice when things align. When Daniel's statements align with the account from Wong. And then look at the common denominators. Match it up. And then we get an idea of the activity that specific night. Thursday night, as I have said from the very, very beginning. I have said it was Thursday night because of Daniel's Friday morning. And because Malaya said last night was one of the worst nights, and she said it on May 3rd. That would have been the night from Friday to Saturday. She said one of the worst nights. If your children are missing, it'll be the worst night. That tells me that the night from Friday to Saturday was not the worst night, but the night before, from Thursday to Friday. When I didn't have them in their beds. I don't believe they went to sleep on Thursday. Maybe they were told to go to sleep. But I don't think they made it to go to sleep. I don't think they went to sleep. And again, the same way we have the leakage from Daniel right here, The same thing goes for rustling in the kitchen on Friday morning. I believe that was Thursday night, people. Because Daniel needs to have something to hold on to that's truthful. Even if it was not what happened at the time that he claims. But it makes it easier for him to remember what he's going to say. Again, and did Lansdowne Road. Did. But you know what? He said, and I did Lansdowne Road. I never seen a blanket in a tree, by the way. Going out to the railroad tracks and that road turning and going back doing Lansdowne Station Road. Wait a minute. Let's read this again. After I got back down from the cabins, Malaya was standing in the same position holding Meadow. I ran into the house and did Lansdowne Road, where Earl lives. I never seen a blanket in a tree, by the way. Going out to the railway tracks on that road, turning and going back down Station Road, following it back to the 289 and finishing the trip by going up the trail beside the house. The night of the RV, it facing into the driveway, into the right. Oh, let's look at the map, man. You don't want to be mistaken or confused. Okay, let's see. Let's see, we people. Let's not be iffy about any of this. The cabins. From the cabins to the house, going down Lansdowne Road, which leads to the pipeline and Earl's house where the ATV was. Then going back down the railroad. I don't know if there was, I don't think there's access here. He said then he went down Lansdowne Station Road. What did he say then? Lansdowne Station Road, following it back to the 289 and finishing the trip by going up the trail beside the house. So is he saying he went from, well, Wong would have heard him if he was right there, right? And the trail by the house? Which trail? Are you sure you went Lansdowne Station? What trail was there? I know by trail you cannot mean Gaylord Road. What trail are you referring to? And how did you go? You see, I believe he's describing different trips here. And there's a possibility that he is adding both. Excursions by car, and then maybe when he got in the ATV from Earl's house right here. But I believe it's different memories kicking in together, and he kind of mixes them into something that he wants to tell us happened on Friday morning. But I think he went straight to the pipeline. on Friday morning, even though he told us, hey, I spent very little time at the pipeline, you know? No, dude, you spent a lot of time, not just you, the whole gang, the pipeline boys, your mom, Justin. That's where they were fixated, the pipeline area. And what's with these 12 minutes to arrive? Did something happen that night when he had help, that somebody said, or that somebody arrived in 12 minutes? I can be there in 12 minutes, something like that? Yeah, I see. You remember when he said 9:09, but there was also another reference, right? About 9:09 p.m. I forgot what that was, but there's a chance that he copied that time from somewhere else. Let's see what else I missed in the documents. I just want to make sure that okay, here we go. I will stick with this now. Cell phone records, okay. Janie. "20 minutes missing," yeah, right. Janie got her coats and boots and walked around looking for them. Daniel was searching. Yeah. You know, I got a couple of other statements too that I want to look at from Daniel. One moment, people. Let me fire up the other thing to see your comments. Something was sent to me from another channel, and I want to know if it's good or not. There's too many channels out there. So I always, whenever somebody sends me something about another channel, my question is, where is the screenshot? Oh God, where is it? What I will send? Give me a second. Okay, let's go back to go through this very quickly. I looked at this already. Let me know if there's something important in the documents. I will send it to you if you want. Cindy Murray said she spoke with Malaya over Facebook Messenger and used video chat. She checked her Facebook Messenger history and provided the following information. Cindy had a missed call, okay, April 30th, 12-minute video call. On May 1, there was a missed call from Malaya at 2:52 and a video call at 3:17. Cindy said she called in video chat to see the kids, but nothing about the call stood out in her mind. You see, I thought they were estranged, but they were close enough to call each other. And then, of course, we go right into the 8:28 a.m. one. Justin. Okay, let me go now into something that I may have previously not really paid too much attention to. Not the first time, but the second. Okay, yeah. Did Lilly say anything? That changes all the time, by the way. Mission becomes clear, evidence builds, leads are followed up on, and time continues to tick for the individuals involved, but the batteries in the watch only last so long. He's poetic, just like Earl, man. It's the same type of style, right? It's the same like, riddle me this, riddle me that. I'm not telling you anything directly, but you figure it out. Be busy. Stay busy figuring out what the hell I'm trying to say or what I'm hinting at. Very vague. Almost like lecturing, almost like a priest or something, you know what I mean? Or a rabbi or whatever religious, Here we go. We take smoke breaks, I vaped outside, come in, do more questions. Yeah, I remember that. But this one, and yeah, he couldn't wait to tell Patty he passed the polygraph. That was such an accomplishment, you know? It shouldn't be a big deal. If you don't, if there's nothing you have to hide, it shouldn't be a big deal to take a polygraph. I passed my polygraph exam and I never murdered 2 small children. Never. 2 small children. I didn't hurt Jack or Lilly. That's what I want to hear. Patty told Cindy I stopped in and I guess she was livid mad. Well, does Patty like you or not? I know Cindy doesn't. Probably still mad from when I told her off at the first search briefing. But yeah, CPS, Meadow case in it, and so on and so on. Okay. Okay, I know when you're there. What does he say? But yeah, CPS Meadow case in it says Cindy doesn't want Daniel around Patty's house just in case I'm there. Okay, I know when you're there. Of not, Cindy Wade doesn't have a license. And now it comes. Your simple narrative stunts don't hold weight. Susan, there's some content I wanted to address. I'll add some extra on human remains dog search areas. Property there, blanket site, pipeline, and areas between the property here and Lansdowne Station Road. There was also unmarked law enforcement vehicles up by Justin Smith's house. Where is it located? I don't know if dogs were assigned tasks in that location or not. Lansdowne area. This current time is the only search area I know of. Little bonus content for there. Thanks, Susan, for reaching out. Okay. Again, Earl's house? Nope. Major crimes were solved. Have faith. I'll make one last statement here to address something I always wanted to ask. Haley, if I was doing drugs in the bathroom, I came out and you said you made your way right in to investigate why no mention of smoke or smell or even drugs for that matter. You said you made your way right in to investigate. Your simple narrative stunts don't hold weight. Susan, there's some content I wanted to address. I'll add some extra on human remains dog search. I will. Promise, 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 right? Always promising things. But here's the deal. Turns out to be correct when Haley said, Malaya then told her, he's been doing it for 2 years. So, do you believe that he was doing rugs in the bathroom that night? Yes or no? I go with yes. But him trying to discredit the people needs to be noted. And everything is vague. Major crimes will solve it. Have faith. Have faith. Have faith. Have faith. Faith in what, dude? What do you mean have faith? How do you know? What do you know that we don't? All that vagueness, man. The same like with Earl. What was the latest statement? I'll put it up in a minute again. Oh my God. And then he removes these things. Now, let me go on my Facebook right now to see if there's something new from him. See, he never disappoints. And I got to catch it early. Otherwise, it's gone already. Maybe I should have a notification way, a way to get notified whenever he makes a new post. Never know what Earl may leak in the future as he gets more emotional. Yep. Everything. You see, remember when I used to call Daniel Drive by Daniel when he went into chats and he didn't answer? Now he answers questions, you know. I mean, he answers them his way, of course, which is helpful. But it used to be like Drive by Daniel, and now it's Drive by Earl. It's the same style, man. Oh, God. This would be comedy if it wasn't about such sad topic, guys. I think there's one more. I'm not saying I know any names. Oh, yeah, sure. Don't tell me what you're not doing. I'm not saying any names. Yeah, right. Okay. Faces heavy criticism by subjectively. It's been more reputation saving the route I've decided to venture. Reputation saving, of course. Mine leaves me facing heavy outpours of claims like false polygraph exam passes. Yeah. Why are you so worried about it if you passed? I think the polygraph examination means nothing because the questions were wrong. And you can prepare for it. And if you have a consistently high stress level, that can impact the polygraph because your pattern will not change significantly. The same if you have a very, very low level of reaction, like Malaya. That can also aid you. But again, the questions were wrong. Mine leaves me facing heavy outbursts of claims like forced polygraph, okay, lies to protect Malaya, me planting evidence, receiving relentlessly attacks on my character, resulting in thousands of hours of video footage for my children to see. Yeah, you know what? I'm only using your words. I am not coming up with theories. I'm not stepping ahead of myself. Even, though some people would want that, would prefer to see somebody stepping ahead of themselves and saying things and then later redacting it. But that's not what I do. If you don't say it, I don't say it. So I understand there's a human on the other side of the screen. I understand that very, very well. Very well. But I also believe that you had the potential to snap. And I believe there was a boiling point Thursday night. And Daniel, again, there are so many red flags and deceptions. All of this will stop. Well, I don't know. Like I say, I don't know what the consequence for you would be. Nobody wants to, but you see, as long as I see deceptive language, that's what I follow. I don't care if it's from you, Malaya, or Janie, or anybody new maybe that's going to come in. That's what hits me. And when it hits me, that's where I'm going to, that's the road I'm going to continue on. There's no other way for me. I don't single you out. You brought yourself to my attention with your early statements. From the very beginning, both you and Malaya, and later your mom. So, and Logan the same way. It's nothing that I did. It wasn't my decision. Some individuals don't understand, okay, I've become desensitized to judgment. No, you haven't. When somebody tells you I've become desensitized to judgment, you wouldn't feel the need to say that. You would be too desensitized. I'm not going to point fingers at her. Well, you are. It's like saying it was a normal night. No. You don't need to say that. When people say, oh, I'm not trying to be funny or anything. Oh, not that I'm not racist or anything, but you see these types of, when you pick up on these types of linguistic phenomena, you already know. People are already telling you their anger. They feel a need to point something out. They cannot just give you a statement. They have to qualify it first. And tell you, no, or they say, I don't have a racist bone in my body. That's what they say usually afterwards, right? Not trying to be funny or anything, not trying to be racist. Oh my God, just say it and then let me decide. You know what I mean? But now you already told me your anger. I've become desensitized to judgment. No, you're not, dude. That's why you're still at it. I'm going to point fingers at her. Again, you are. Because the players in this case will receive maximum. Who are the players, dude? I think this is going straight back into Durwood's script. Remember, there are two scripts in place, I believe. The Daniel, Malaya, and Janie script. They came up with before it was D-Day. And Malaya was made to go out there and talk to the RCMP when they get there, with Meadow on her hips. The more you get into this. And then there was Durwood, who came down there one day, asked for Daniel. And Janie said, I went into his trailer and get up, Daniel. You sleep all day. Imagine this voice waking you up. Imagine you have a nice dream and all of a sudden this voice is right there in your ear. Get up! Somebody is here for you. And she told us, she linguistically revealed to us, they came up with things right then and there. They also came up with that Janie heard somebody say, shh. Daniel told Belinda. Janie confirmed it. Later, she took it all back. That's a stupid script. I'm not playing anymore. Probably when Durwood, I think Durwood probably had, he probably enjoyed being in the limelight so much. By the way, I do believe one of those fake accounts is really him, at least one of them. At the same time he disappeared or he stepped back, that account started showing up there. And he's really brave with that one. He knew he had to step back. What's the name? D-Mats or something like that? Yeah, I gotta look at it a little bit closer, guys. No, the Lily Jack one is female. Then there's what, Brad Turner and yeah. You see, they don't disappear. They step back, distancing themselves, but coming back as a persona, anonymously. That's usually what they do. Because a certain pattern is hard to interrupt once they get going. It's like if you told me I can no longer talk about this case. Oh man, that would be a hard one. The same way for them. I'm pretty sure Janie and Daniel said, you know what, you got to cut it out, man. You're getting way ahead of yourself. And it's becoming way too obvious that what you're saying is complete nonsense because you're overdoing it. So people will dismiss it and then they will look at me again. Okay, I'm not going to do it. Okay. And then the fake accounts begin. In my opinion, only in my opinion, by the way, everybody's innocent until proven guilty in the court of law. Want to make this very, very clear. I'm not saying I know any names. Again, I'm not saying don't tell us what you're not saying. Just don't say it. Seed planting. I know names, but I cannot tell you of the characters involved. You see, he's using the term characters. That is another indicator that this is a script. This is a story. A story has different characters. When Sherry Papini talked about her side of the story, I knew I didn't have to listen to the rest. Characters, not people, but characters. It's a story in your mind. It's a story, and you know what? It's not only in your mind, but it's a story that came alive, in my opinion, when you, your mom, and Durwood sat together and concocted all of this. All of a sudden, when you have three people together, sort of encouraging each other, something happened. Have you guys ever been involved in high school or somewhere in coming up with a script or writing music together or something like that? When you have a team of people, it takes a life on its own, almost like it's real, a story that you write together, a screenplay, whatever it may be. It becomes very, very real, and it becomes much easier to present because you're also hiding behind each other. And it's already set in stone, like, hey, we agree upon this, let's move forward with that. And I believe they had it down very, very straight in the very beginning. That's why Daniel's and Malaya's statements were so almost verbatim. They said the same things. They both decided to say the same types of things, that some of them were not really significant. the characters involved, but one day individuals will have to pay for the enormous circus of fuckery this case has become. Characters involved, but one day, one day, individuals will have to pay for the enormous circus of fuckery this case has become. The circus to which I think you are contributing. Why is this not working? Anyways, everybody doing okay still? I don't see. I'm going to keep going a little bit more. And again, I'm not singling out RCMP, but I think Paul Pelango did it really, really well. And then later one day, I will go also into Prince Andrew. I was asked to do that. I will look now at other cases as well. This official statement is not really giving us that much, but Peter Heyer did the old one already. And it was major. You guys can look that up also. I'll probably post that in the member section. Some of the material from Hyatt. I will get more into this later. By the way, when somebody says, I vigorously deny the accusations against me, yeah, vigorously, you're overdoing it. Just tell me I didn't do anything. He didn't give us a reliable denial back then either. And having to say, as I have said previously, well, that doesn't make it more reliable what you said before, because it was highly unreliable. And again, Peter's blog can be found on archive.org. We can all go back through this again. I mean, I can spend some time on that if you guys wish. I can't see your comments right now. Let me use my other phone to see the comments. This is really weird. But it's also kind of cool where I just, this is almost like doing a recording, right? Let me read your comments. Yeah, I think he may have been looking for the blanket, guys, or other stuff that he dropped. Yeah, where were the cameras? Come on, I mean, you guys are writing here some of what you're writing. I know I missed most of it. And they're all playing around. All playing around, guys. Now I see some comments. My God, I missed most of it. Yeah, keep pushing. Keep pushing as you can. Keep pushing as you can, people. And it doesn't mean you have to argue with people. And know what you're up against. I get some coffee. Give me a second, okay? Don't stray. Never stray. I think I got a couple new URLs though. A couple new statements from him. Which, yeah, man. He's like an older version of Daniels, really. Let me see if I got a private message. Normally they come whenever I do these lives. That's when they come in. Usually I see them right when I'm done, and then it's too late. Okay. I will continue to do updates and post more photos when I get them on my profile. Be it stuff from Earl or whoever. Okay, I will post. Well, this is not my opinion. This is somebody that sent me. Somebody sent me this. So this is not necessarily. I have not checked this out yet. I have not analyzed these properly because I don't really know how Durwood writes. But I just figured somebody took the time to send this to me. That's that person's thoughts, right? No, I cannot agree with it yet. I have to check, but I don't really want to because I'm not really on Facebook right now. I don't really have the desire to read through any of it. And thankfully, you guys are sending me the screenshots when something is important. And so I don't think I miss anything in particular. This is one person's opinion, okay? I want to make sure. I haven't looked at it yet. And of course, then you have this about Durwood. Gaddis got involved and was going all over the internet saying things. The theory that the children are somehow alive, a suggestion that police have consistently said is without evidence and hiding on the First Nation reserve, has been repeated by Mr. Martel and others online. Reached by the Globe on Friday, Mr. Gaddis repeated his belief that the children are alive on the reserve. Mr. Gaddis said they are 1000% alive. Nope. And doesn't this D. Matt's character always say 10,000% or something like that? One of you pointed this out to me. Yeah, I believe that could be him. You see, there was a time we didn't hear from Gaddis for a long time. And I don't believe that he disappeared. I don't believe that he decided to be completely quiet. I believe that once he licked blood and enjoyed being in the public eye, I believe he kept it going. That's just my opinion. The same way that Daniel cannot stay away from the public for too long, Gaddis couldn't either, in my opinion. Somebody's behind these fake accounts, people. But I have to apply anonymous author identification, and I can either do it actively, spending time on it specifically, or allowing it to come to me little by little. I prefer little by little because it filters out based on also significance as to what I should pay attention to. So personally speaking, I don't really want to pay attention to them. But it could pay off. It could pay off once you identify them and then see what the person is leaking. But that's very time consuming. And while people spend a lot of time looking in the wrong directions, I feel like I will do that when I think everybody's looking in the right directions. Then I'll be able to spend time on other things. Until then, I'm sort of, a little bit stuck with the more obvious or the parts that I think need to be properly exposed if nobody else is doing it. Or very few are doing it. And the few who are doing it don't have a channel that's reaching a lot of people, or don't have a channel at all. But speak the truth and let it speak for itself. That's how I figure. So there's no need for me to go and argue with these people online. Let me see what I posted recently. I posted a lot of photos. And by the way, the fence thing, yeah. If you guys see it, the world is divided by a fence line. And fence, I mean, Daniel was fixing the fence that Thursday, right? What is significant? What's the significance of the fence? And I want to know what triggered Malaya that moment when she started crying uncontrollably. Belinda, do you remember anything about that? Or you were not there that moment, right? They showed Malaya the search map and where they have been searching, and all of a sudden she said, I don't feel well. And she walked out with Meadow on her hip. In the back of an ambulance, Malaya sobbed uncontrollably. Maybe it hit her what happened at that moment, right? Even though she didn't care about Jack and Lilly enough to protect them, maybe at that moment she realized, oh my God, this is what my life has become. Probably feeling more sorry for herself than for Jack and Lilly. But still, overall, something hit her all at once. The reality. And I believe she was so much under the control of the others, of Janie and Daniel, or Logan, or whoever, that all of a sudden she had people talk to her in a respectful manner, show her what has been done. She sees all these people care about my children. They're willing to do for my children what I wasn't willing to do for them. And all of a sudden, the reality of what her life had become suddenly hit her. And a lot of these tears were for herself. Like, what the hell have I been doing with my life? Something like that. That's what I think happened. That's why she had a nervous breakdown before. That's why Daniel keeps talking about her mental state of mind. Right? Something hit her. Something really hard hit her, people. And what hit her hard, I think, was a reality that she sort of pushed aside for a very long time, where she completely, she was sort of under the control of others. Possible autism, yeah. Possible. No, Malaya doesn't. Okay, I'm looking at your comments now. Malaya doesn't think that deeply, but you know what? She suddenly, I feel like she was confronted hardcore. Oh, Belinda, hey, you coming in just now? Good. Belinda, I didn't see any of the comments before. I didn't pay attention to them, honestly. I couldn't. My something is wrong with my other laptop where I normally watch the comments while I'm doing these lives. I show you proof. I'm not lying. It's stuck. Something. Normally, that's where I read your comments while I'm doing it. I'm doing this the old-fashioned way, by the way, and I kind of like it like that. The same way I still like to write notes for myself, not on a notepad, but actually in my little booklet. That's where I like to write some notes for myself. I prefer it, man. You know, we didn't have laptops when I was a kid. So I kind of feel... Yeah, guys, I'm happy when you guys are talking in chat and sharing information there. And of course, as long as it trickles down to me also in form of private messages that I'm getting, thankfully, a lot. So you guys make sure that I get the things that are important, so I don't have to go to Facebook, you know what I mean? That I don't have to waste time with these people. And but let me see one more here. By the way, is this a good time to do lives? I think it's not bad. Maybe I should do two. Now I cannot do two a day. Maybe. But again, here are things that I'm pointing out when I'm, the witnesses reported hearing a vehicle but couldn't confirm seeing one. But Wong said he saw, he could see vehicle lights over the treetops. Yeah, nice try, dudes. This is like not hillbilly gaslighting, but it's RCMP gaslighting, maybe. I don't know, man. They think everybody's really dumb. And unfortunately, they may be, they have experience with the public. They know how to, they know what works. And what is this with the West, man? I mean, what do you guys make of it? What am I missing here? With Earth's statement, the world is divided by a fence line. The East is law-abiding folks. Law-abiding folks who rustle around in the bathroom. The East is law-abiding. You see, that labeling thing, man. It doesn't work. It's avoidance. Not wanting to get into the statements from these so-called criminals people. These criminals. People are judged by who you have for friends. Oh! He's saying, if you are friends with Wong, you will be judged. Almost sounds like a preacher, right? Judgment is coming. Don't listen to Wong. Hillbilly Gasladen, people. Hillbilly Gasladen. I said it before. I say it again. That's the best way I can put it. Grendel, you're here. Hey, I missed your comments before. I might show my age here, but I think Biggie, Tupac. Oh, yeah. Yeah, look at the statement from what's his name? JonBenet, who claims he had a bullet in his head. Yeah, right. Even Snoop Dogg said the guy who did it was driving the car. I will look a little bit more into the statements too, by the way. I do here and there. I don't necessarily dedicate like a lot of what dog handler? Sonny and the dog handler? What you talking about? Well, I was going to show Paul Palango a little bit more, but oh, the cadaver dog handler came from British Columbia. Yeah, that's weird too. I mean, is Nova Scotia so underfunded that they don't have that they always have to fly people in to do polygraphs and fly people in, or I mean, what's going on there, man? And they don't have CPS is not set up the same way like in other. What's up there, dudes? Yeah, see, I didn't know. I had no idea. Yeah, no child youth, exactly. Thank you. Child youth advocate. Nova Scotia doesn't have a child youth advocate like other provinces do, right? That's what it was, people. Very underfunded, it seems. Their statement is done for the possibility. Absolutely. Malaya is a very careful person. Very, very careful. The opposite of Daniel, who just steps right into it and then thinks he can fix it. Was she triggered by a certain search location? Well, maybe. I think it may be a combination of her knowing that, or realizing all these people care and are wasting their time because she knows the kids are nowhere near any of these locations. I think there's a possibility that suddenly she had so much help that she didn't have before, or so much support. I think it kind of overwhelmed her because she was very isolated from everybody, surrounded by Daniel and Janie. And of course, Janie said she could have left any time. She was free to drive to bring lunch to Daniel when he was working. She didn't have a freaking life, man. Her life was for Daniel, right? Like his servant. I mean, did she had the car for us, but she was lost in a way. I'm not making, believe me, I'm not making excuses for her whatsoever. But I do believe that she was overwhelmed by the support that she saw and realized none of this is going to help at all. It's not going to get us anywhere because I know they are in the ocean. I believe that's what she was thinking at the moment. And suddenly she felt like, wow, through the people and through their faces and their voices and how much all these people care about Jack and Lilly, the significance of what had taken place suddenly hit her. That's what I think happened. Similar to Candace Bly, the mother of Summer Wells, when they talked about the cornbread mafia, the so-called cornbread mafia, which is insignificant. There is no connection between that and the disappearance of Summer Wells. But I believe that there's, for that reason, that at that moment, she heard all of this garbage being put out there, where people are basically making money off of her, and the so-called behavioral panel and all of them, I guess, and Dr. Phil, they're just pimping her out. And, you know, I believe it was an accident, actually. It was a negligent, possibly, yeah, it was a negligent accident. Let's say it like that. I believe at the water hole, she hit her head on rocks under the water. I listened to Hunter. I listened to a lot of the statements. I listen to the interview room when they have good interviews, but I don't listen to their conclusions at all. Even the analysts he had on there, just nothing, you know what I mean? Just making sure they can have a lot of content, but this is not about content. I hate the word content creation because you need to be to the point. Content creates itself. You know what I mean? Otherwise, you just create a script and then you create a show and then you don't get anywhere. But when you're on the right track, everything falls into place. So I do believe that was actually an accident, and she was a horrible mother, horribly negligent, to say the very least. And people assume that she and her husband did something to Summer, but I don't believe that was the case. I believe when Hunter said that the rug dealer, there were 17 messages between her and the rug dealer that he saw on the phone, and the last one was him texting her, "It's done." I believe that he came by to get rid of the body. I believe that when we saw Summer Wells in the backseat of the car, just this weird picture of her sleeping next to the cold milk carton, it wasn't long after that she passed away. I believe she had trauma, and she fell asleep, and then I believe when they were on the property, Candace said, I came to get her out of the car, and she got up like nothing. She got up like nothing. She felt the need to tell us that. Not just the wording in that moment, the contrast of what the answer was to what Chris McDonough said. She got up like nothing. Like nothing? Yeah, she didn't get up. I believe she didn't get up out of the car. And neighbors heard a scream, and I believe that's when she realized her daughter had died. And I believe she called the rug dealer, and they have, out in the country, they have their way of getting rid of bodies, especially these types of people, you know? So I do believe that was an accident. And when you saw Candace at the water hole, when they went back there, that was a place where she felt very stuck and emotional, because she knew that's where it happened. And of course, Hunter also said how negligent, he said, well, she didn't even notice that she was underwater for 10, 15 seconds and struggling. He had to jump in there and get her back up. And he said Candace and her mother were just there standing there on TikTok and yapping and just didn't even notice anything. You know what I mean? That's where I'm at with that. And yeah, a lot of people, they want parents to be guilty, but I don't believe that. I'm looking at the language here. So it doesn't, okay. I'm reading your comments now. I can talk about this forever, man. All I can say is that I'm not worried about Malaya. Who said that? Daniel? Yeah, she didn't care. Smith and Wong sounds like a law firm. Yeah, law offices of Smith and Wong. Who's Angeline Maloney? No, Earl did not deactivate his account. He just removed a bunch of posts, people. I think like 10 of them. If Earl was my neighbor, oh my God. She was free to... Yeah, but again, I think that, you see, in these moments, people can have a reality check. And that's what I think that Malaya had at that moment. It doesn't mean she feels bad for Jack and Lilly. It doesn't mean that. It can mean that she feels bad for herself. I believe that when Janie teared up, it was real, but it was not for Jack and Lilly. It was for herself. You know what I mean? So certain things trigger. She realized how her life had been. Yeah, let's have some more Earl and then I'm done. Oh my God. Earl's, that's just vile, man. Some of the stuff that he wrote, you know what I mean? But I will make more you know what? I would just post things, and I would just post the images when I have a good screenshot from now on, and then later explain it. Let me see. Tired of Earl, right? But anything that just so vague, what a person feels. What do you feel, Earl? Why are you avoiding to tell us what you feel? What do you mean, what a person feels? There's some serious avoidance here. He doesn't want to tell us what he feels. There's no stopping me, I got nothing to lose. Is that why you removed your own message? Digging. Not gonna stop digging. Okay. But again, remember, this was a huge mistake with Lansdowne Station Road and the blanket. Huge mistake. So the police documents, they're taking it lightly, man. So Paul Palango, all the things he's saying, man, I'm telling you guys, the more I listen to him.
And know-it-all police officers. The formula is simple. Send out the Amber Alert for the missing person as soon as it was reported to police. Why? Because time is of the essence, and the quicker people are alerted to the higher likelihood of somebody seeing and reporting them. The alert extends 100 kilometers for each hour they have been missing, plus an additional 100 kilometers radius. This is used as a general traveling speed by cars of 100 kilometers an hour. The rationale need not be explained. Just do it.
Yeah.
The Sullivan case in Nova Scotia was stymied by moron RCMP who thought they knew better. Who effing asked you to think for yourself? Now they are lost with no baseline of understanding and no scope of distance to the investigation. Even when a foolproof program is designed and implemented, the RCMP still can't get it right. Society loses every time. It's hard to fly like an eagle when you work with a bunch of turkeys.
That's something. Well, let's just think of this simple little example. Okay, everybody's seen the articles with pictures of the two children. Okay, I haven't memorized those pictures. If there's an Amber Alert and somebody thought they were missing, you'd take a lot closer look at those photos just so that you're like, okay, well, now I'm going to be on the,
This guy's an idiot.
I don't know where they might be, right? So that would generate potentially more leads by having the general citizenry more alert to it. So big mistake there by the police.
Absolutely. But, it's not the first. I mean, it's probably, but Nova Scotia, the government of Nova Scotia wants the RCMP to be the major police force in Canada. When other provinces like Alberta, Premier Danielle Smith came out this week and was asked about the RCMP, and she's talking about what a disaster it is in Alberta. As she quote, we pay for 1,911 officers to police Alberta, and at any time, 400 are off sick.
Let's listen to this one more time, or let me just tell you, 1,911 officers they have in Nova Scotia. Oh no, let me hear again. Hear this again. And I have something to add to that also, because I believe it.
Was asked about the RCMP, and she's talking about what a disaster it is in Alberta. As she quote, we pay for 1,911 officers to police Alberta, and at any time, 400 are off sick.
I want to have it on a screen. Give me a second. I go back just a little bit. We pay for
officers to police Alberta, and at any time, 400 are off.
So they pay for 1,911 police officers. And at any given time, 400 of them have called out sick. I believe it. That means 1 out of 5 police officers in Alberta is out sick. Now, those of you in the United States, let me put this into perspective. You have socialized medicine there, so you can always see the doctor. And if you're friendly with your doctor and you say, look, I'm very stressed out right now, can you just, give me a couple of days off? Can you just write down and put me on something and then give me a break? I know in some countries in Western Europe, it's a very similar system where people can go to the doctor at any given time, especially like Scandinavia, countries like that. It's very easy to abuse a system like that. It's different in the United States, right? But when you have, what they call it, socialized medicine or health and universal health insurance, then you can get to the doctor within some limitations, of course. A doctor cannot just put you on Prozac and then give you like 2 or 3 months off unless, no, of course they have to protect themselves too. But I don't know how it's in Canada, correct me if I'm wrong, but in some European countries, Western European and Northern European countries, it is like that there are people who get a job and they are sick a lot. And and they cannot be fired easily. And the doctor will, the doctor's family is friends with their family, and they push it to the max. So this is actually, I believe it. I could be, they have it made in the shade, man. You think they will have Meadow due to politics? It's possible. It's possible. Sea legal Canada. Yes, it's possible. I can see that. I can see that happening. I mean, she has a legal representation. I mean, you know about the law in Canada. You're the one who fills me in. So, I also agree that, she has a lot of support from the tribe, and there's a possibility that she will get Meadow. I mean, where's Malaya now? Is she living next to the chief, Belinda, from what you understand? Or do you keep track even of that? Do you even pay attention to it? Or is it getting too tiring to keep up with this part? Doctor's notice $5 where you are? Well, they got their own little club, man. Give me 1 second. I like it though. I like Paul Palango. He's cool.
Off sick.
Well,
all the time. It's things aren't getting done, and they're moving towards setting up their own provincial police force, which is going to have severe implications for the RCMP's contract policing in the rest of Canada.
Well, that's a good segue, Paul, because this week we had a major federal justice announcement, and one of the things announced, there were 3 things announced as part of this overall strategy. By the way, announced by Immigration Minister Lena Metledge-Diab in Halifax, not the Minister of Immigration, not by Sean Fraser, the Minister of Justice, who one might have thought would be announcing such things. So that was curious in itself. Announced it at the Halifax Regional Police headquarters. But a $1.8 billion included for additional RCMP hiring, federal policing capacity. So 1,000 new RCMP officers are expected to result from this new announcement.
Well, the 1.8 million is broken up over 4 years, and going to largely to increase the stipend received by cadets when they attend depot in Regina. So they'll get $1,000 a week. But where are these people going to come from? No police force can bring people in nowadays. Some can, but it's very difficult for the RCMP because of
what that system does is give a lot of power to certain people, and make it very it's weird, man. But I know people in Western Europe who have told me where, you get a job and then you're pretty safe in your job. And then if you're friends with a doctor, you can. But anyways, I'll play this a little bit more and then I'm going to be done, unless you guys bring up something new that's of interest that I have. That's Paul Palango. Anatomy of a Cover-Up. That's the name of his book, Anatomy of a Cover-Up. And that has been brought to my attention due to some of my videos earlier, a month or 2 ago, when I said, I don't think the RCMP is in a hurry to solve the case. I think that there will be a political outcry if it comes to light that that CPS failure has led to the disappearance of 2 children or the unaliving, And just analyzing the language of the RCMP representatives, I have detected their intention. And the intention was to stall. And I realized how incredibly passive and indifferent they were. Even though a lot of people told me, well, they're really working on things and you're not in Canada, you shouldn't tell us what's going on in Canada, you don't know. And I said, okay. And then one of you Canadian guys said, dude, don't listen to these people. Let me show you what's going on in Canada. Let me listen to this Canadian named Paul Palango. So, sometimes I feel like I'm intruding on other people's societies, but I do that it doesn't matter where. I see the same patterns all over the world, guys. All over the world. And it's worse in many places. I mean, look at what I talked about with what's her name? The girl that stabbed herself 20 times, supposedly, in Pennsylvania. What was her name? Okay, Sam Goldberg was her boyfriend. Alan Greenberg. You know what I mean? I mean, this is nothing shocking to me. I've seen this so many times, man. So many times. On so many different levels. Oh, a long waiting list for, yeah, I believe it, that socialized medicine, the downside is that long waiting lists, absolutely. Yeah. You see, now is the good part. When I'm done with my presentation, I can read your comments and learn something. But I think that I did what I had to do today. I want to listen to this dude a little bit more, so I can do it alone or with you guys together. Let me see, 2 more minutes.
The structure of the force. And then this exacerbates the problem. Depot is set up to basically provide policing for contract policing, which is essentially municipal policing or provincial policing, how to pull a car over in a traffic stop. That kind of stuff. Simple investigations, not complex federal investigations. So the force's structure and its whole attitude is screwed up, but the federal government keeps throwing money at them. They're at like $6.2 billion now. They're like Premier Smith says in Alberta, 20 to 25% are off sick on any given day. Everyone's paying full freight.
20 to 25% are sick at any given day. That's job security, people. If you think you have job security,
for these guys, whether they think so or not, and they're not doing the job. Something has to be done.
And is there accountability? That's the other question.
One of the other aspects of this, and this is going to come up through and this will be part of this will be debated at Parliament, is new bail provisions. Reverse onus bail provisions for more serious crimes. Basically, to say, well, instead of the Crown proving why you should be held, you're going to have to prove why you should be released. And, there's all this debate about these bail provisions, Paul, and I can tell you, as somebody that practices criminal law, those are they're such irrelevant changes. Like, the practical thing is, if you have somebody charged with a serious drug or crime or violence crime, it's going to be tough to get bail. You're going to have the onus, whether it's on the defense or on the Crown, the onus is really on the defense to come up with a plausible plan. And it's not easy to get bail, especially in those circumstances. Most of the time, if these violent offenders are getting bail, it's because the case against them is very weak. And so the Crown doesn't feel justified.
By the way, the legal system in the United States and Canada is very similar, right? Pretty much the same, more or less. I don't know, because the United States system is based on, British, of course, the British law legal system. And so must be Canada. Got it, sea legal. You know, the politicians and that, okay, I don't want to get too deep into this, but you know, they're cool as long as the RCMP has an image and you know, that's the media works along with them and isn't shy to publish whatever narrative they want us to believe, that, you know, pay attention to this, don't pay attention. Yeah, they have it made in the shade. They don't have to work too hard, you know, they don't have to make any special changes. They just can say, oh, this is good enough. But again, this is not something typical for Canada, guys. I see this all the time, all over the world. All over the world. You see, when you look at statements alone, only statements and facts, you get to know what's going on behind the scenes. I think this is done now.
And holding them on that basis. So we'll see. It's kind of those, they're going to get hotly debated, but they're kind of meaningless. The more, I guess, maybe hot political item is the comments from Pierre Poilievre.
Plan to disconnect the RCMP from the political process and put them back where they belong in the justice system, where they are independent of politics, and they go about their jobs in the public interest in the name of the law. I don't think Mr. Poilievre's going to do that. You know, as I pointed out, Stephen Harper, when he ran for prime minister, 20 years ago.
I have no idea who those people are. Hey there, to those of you who come late. Well, guys, I think I'm going to stop now.
I said the same thing. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that to the RCMP. I'm going to get them.
We had this initial report that the RCMP told us that a man had been tasered in what, though it became...
Okay, this is no longer about Jack and Lilly, guys. So, I don't know if it's interesting to you.
Absolutely clear that when those 4 officers walked into the international arrivals area of Vancouver...
Thank you, people. I think I'm going to shut this down now. I will play a little bit more of that later on. I know it's interesting to some of you because you live up there. And no, I agree with you. Oh my God, there's always things going on behind the scene. And the problem is usually high on top, you know what I mean? The further you go up to the top, the more, wow, I appreciate you guys so much. I will play more of it later on. I think that I need to get back to looking more into things that I haven't figured out yet in terms of Jack and Lilly, but I will play you later on in my next lives. I will play this guy. I will follow him. I will look, he appears on different channels, and I will also, you know, again, this way I don't have to be the one saying it, you know, he's the one saying it. It makes my job a little bit easier, right? Okay. Have a great rest of the day, everybody. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you very soon.